Okay, what's going on? Tevin West Talks Radio. That's where you're at. Oh man, I got it right for freaking once in my lifetime. Yeah. So I have been in the lab. I've had a lot more time to get my editing, or at least tend to it in a way that where I can get a product out that I want, that like I usually want. Like from my first season, like if you go back and listen to like my first season episodes, they are the most highly rated. Um, but also like I just was really locked in to my craft of podcasting, and I'm in the car right now. Just got from the bank and I'm about to go get my food. I'm eating chicken and rice today with some olive oil in it. It's gonna be so banging. But I just sticking more to my craft, trying to do better. It's cool to talk to you guys just like this. It's cool to put these out, but these episodes are merely placeholders for things that I plan on doing better in my podcasting journey. As you, like I said, I put on the public reading of scripture. That was my last video I did, and I actually took a video down. Or not a video. I took an episode down. It was ketamine, retaliation, and get back. And I took that down because I wanted to flesh that out a little bit more than what I had. I felt like it wasn't. I felt like it wasn't fleshed out enough. I wanted to put something together before I just kind of put that out, because it just sounded like I was ranting. But I wanted to kind of cut through all those things that I was talking about in particular. But today, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about ketamine, retaliation, or get back. Today, I'm talking about, well, me as a father. Like, that's a part of what I got going on, like, a lot of the day. Not a lot of the day, actually. Well, like, so he'll be in daycare while I'm working, and then the last half of the day, right? So, like 50% of my day is with my son, and I've just been trying to figure out how to be present and lock in with him. But a lot of the stuff that we do is activity and movement. We do not sit around a lot. We are not just at home all the time a lot. We are on the go. We're outside. We're walking around. We're playing. He's with me when I'm coaching, and I can't really help it. Maybe I should sit down somewhere. I know when he caught his injury, fractured his femur, he had to sit down for a minute. But even then, like I had him with me, and he was in the stroller, and while I was coaching, he'd be like tucked up because it was wintertime. He'd be tucked in with his hoodie on and his mittens on, and I'd be running or jogging or coaching. But I was thinking about, because my thing is, I have been working out pretty consistently. I you know I have those phases, where I'm just dialed in and I'm going in and I'm seeing good results. But there are times where I'm also like halfway in, halfway out. Let me explain that. For me, I cannot eat. I cannot have a healthy lifestyle or see the results that I want to see. What are results? I would like to be like at 200 pounds. I've been above 200 pounds since I was like 24, 25, and I've played at that weight. Like I've played in between 225 and 235 at 5'11". That's actually really big, but I'm full of muscle. But when I don't eat right, it just collapses, Like I start gaining more weight, like my back starts hurting, my ankles start hurting. It almost sounds like a pregnant woman or something like that, you know what I mean? So for me, I've had to dial in my nutrition, and that's not everybody's reality. When I'm coaching goalkeepers, young goalkeepers, and give like other people ask for advice and stuff like that, for me, just because they know that I have done it before, and I still do my best to go through the process of discipline overall in nutrition and sports. They're like, how do you, um, like, how do you get to this body fat percentage or weight or whatever? And I tell them it's discipline. I tell them like it's your nutrition, but it's not the same for everybody. There are people, I have partners that literally can eat whatever they want and they won't gain a pound. But at the same time, that same partner has IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome, because what they put in there, they're just shoveling crap in their mouth. Okay, so it might not affect them weight-wise, but like body-wise, it could, I got a friend of mine, actually he's a mentor of mine that I highly respect. He used to run ultra marathons, and he used to take care of his body like crazy, he had to stop that because that was wearing his body down. But he can only do like pescatarian. There's certain things that he can't even put in his mouth anymore, and he did it right. I've heard of, there's this guy named Schultz. He ran a soccer academy in Florida. He trained Josie Altidore, who is a well-renowned American striker who played in Europe for a while. And I had a teammate who was a goalkeeper for his academy, and it's in somewhere in Miami. West Pines, that's what it was. It was in West Pines. He was like, yeah, like, he died of colon cancer, like Schultz died of colon cancer. I was like, dang, he died of colon cancer? And he was like, yeah, and he was a health nut. Like, he took care of himself. So it's not one size fits all. It's literally, that's how you know. Like, for me, that's how I know. Like when it's your time to go, it's your time to go. You know what I mean? Like, there's a God who gives you a date, start, end, bam. No questions asked. Doesn't matter what you do. But your quality of life is important. Like, you want to have a good quality of life. Like, if you're not able to have, like, there was a interview that dude was like, man, people do drugs and this and that all the time, and they live to be 80 some years old. Like, yeah, but like it doesn't matter about the length. It doesn't matter about your quantity. Everybody wants to live a long time. Everybody. I mean, some of this new breed of kids don't want to be here anymore. And I felt like that too. But to stay on top of it, like, you want to have a quality of life regardless of whether it's long or short. And so I also, as a father, want to make sure that I'm tentative to my son. How can I be tentative to my son? The best way to be tentative to my son is to be tentative to me, and to be tentative to my health, and to be tentative to what I got going on. So it's like, now it's, those moments where I'm like, I don't want to go to the gym at lunch. It's not a question. It's like, before I've even left out of my house in the morning time, I like put my shoes and my workout clothes in a bag. And this is probably no brainer for most of you guys, but it is very difficult for me, but I mean, also, like, America is like 70% of America is overweight. So we deal with a lot of, like, there's a lot of situations where you can just say, screw it, I'm gonna go eat this. There's a lot of convenience to eating fast foods and but I decided that I'm just gonna really hunker down, because, like, I'm 250 right now, and it's not like sloppy 250, but because I still work out. But it doesn't matter because I don't eat right. I have to eat right, like, all the time. Like, all the time. I have to eat right, like 7 days out of the week, basically. That's how my body is. I look at pasta, I gain 4 pounds. And I can have, like, my occasional thing, but it needs to be like one meal, maybe 2 meals out of the week. Okay? I can't really, and the one thing I choose is pizza. And it's like, for me, it can be really bad because I can overeat. Like, I'll overeat. Like, I'll eat a whole box of pizza. You know what I'm saying? I'll do that. I can do that 2 days. I could do that every day of the week. But it's obviously not going to get you anywhere if you're having fitness goals. So, I'd like to be like 200 pounds, like 15, 17% body fat by the time the summer rolls around, like the beginning of summer, like May. So I'm 250 now. I mean, just losing 50 pounds was not gonna be like the greatest, hardest thing. I was 225 this time, like last year. So, uh, yeah. I mean, I would like to be a polished version in front of my son. I know some people are like, ah, he's young. He's very young. He turns 2 in March, but it's like I want to be a polished version aesthetically to for my son to look at. Excuse me, for my son to look at. I don't want him to look at me and like I want him to look at me and see an example. There's a lot of people who have kids that their kids don't even look up to them. They're not their role model. I want my kid. I want my kid's role model to be me. I want to my kid to like look up to me. And usually I'm a little bashful about that type of stuff, but this right here is like non-negotiable. And so here I am on my journey trying to make myself the best version of me possible, so that way my son can have something to look at, you know what I mean, as a example of what to do in life. And because the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, you know, which way he's gonna go, left or right or straight forward, I have no idea. But the best thing I can do is work on myself physically, mentally, spiritually, and psychologically, so that way he can be able to say, well, I mean, he can't say that I gave him a bad example. And it's not to absolve me from any parenting that I may do that is a mistake. There are plenty of times that I've made mistakes, like unintentionally, like just it is. I feel like I've made so many mistakes as a parent, and my son's not even in his third year of life, that it drove me to say I don't want any more kids. I mean, I thought about getting a vasectomy. I thought about it, I got talked out of it, actually. I went to the doctor and wanted to go do it, like last year, but the doctor kind of talked me out of it. But actually 2 years ago, coming up 2 years ago, it was like right after I had him. But and I did that out of, like, I had already wanted to do it, but I did it out of conversation I had with my ex-wife before we went, like, south, whatever. And so, but he was like, nah, you never know what could happen. And so here I am, unvasectomized. But I think about it. I also wonder, like, is it a sin, Like, is it a sin to not, to cut yourself off like that, God killed a man in the Bible for pulling out. All different circumstances, though. He was supposed to carry the lineage of children instead of putting them in the dirt. But I just want to make sure that I'm dialed in, and that could be very difficult because the emotions and stuff involved with it. But I've just learned to try. I'm doing my best to shut out. I was doing my best to shut out the voices in my head that are telling me to be lazy. Like I'm learning coding. I'm learning coding right now. It is, man, Python. That's the language I'm learning. I'm learning Python. So, like, just upping my skills, because I'm telling you something. In the next 30 years, there are certain jobs that are not going to be around, and there are certain ways of life in the which way that, like, at least we know it on the West, because in the East it could be different, different mindsets. At least in the West, like, it's going to be completely different. It's going to be a completely different way of life, and a lot of people are going to get left behind. They're going to be super. I mean, like, I was just telling a coworker of mine, I think that we're on the way to being like the USSR was in the 50s and the 50s all the way to all the way to 80s, and eventually when they fell in the 90s, like the beginning of the 90s. I feel like that. Like, what do I mean by that? Mass starvation, because people can't afford things. The necessities have become expensive, and the luxuries have become cheap. It's easy to get cheap cell phone and go about your business, handle your business. But to you know to get a to keep your light bill below a certain amount of money, you know what I mean? Every month it could be rough. Um, the phone is cheap. The phone bill is expensive. Um, the car is a necessity now, but the car note is outrageous. You know, you could get a good deal on a car just off the top, but the car note is outrageous. So it's best that you go towards an older version of a car off like somebody's like yard or something. You know, eggs are, you know, somewhere between $7 and $8 a carton. That's insane. That's insane. So the necessities are getting expensive and the luxuries are getting cheaper. So people who have like the ability to continue to make money to buy those things, they can enjoy more comfort, but the people who can't buy necessities are just gonna be. There's this phrase that people always be saying about how the new world order is gonna come in. It's like they'll give it to you, or something like that, and you'll like it. You'll have no land and like it, and it's like you'll own nothing and like it. Well, no, you'll own nothing and hate your life. That's where this is headed, and so it's kind of like I want to be like I don't want to be in a situation where I have to like beg for something. Um, I've been in situations where I've had to borrow and I've had to beg, and I don't want to be in that anymore. So I'm just doing the best I can, while also giving my son a great example of how to move in life and how to hustle. So that's all I had to say today. I am out. I gotta go get this chicken and rice and get back into work because that's the hamster wheel I'm on at this particular part in life. Devin West, Talks Radio. Have a good day.